Well, hey there, community. Welcome to DevCentral Connects. I am your host today, Jason Rahm with DevCentral. And I have joining me here in a few minutes, Brett Wun from the NGINX team here at F5. And we're going to talk NGINX One. And I'm excited at that new SaaS offering we have for the NGINX side. And, you're getting like a bunch of NGINX stuff. Last week, Boo was on with Dylan. Talking about NGINX certification. Today, we're going to talk about NGINX One. But before we do that, just a reminder to make sure that you join us at DevCentral. Register for a free account, community.f5.com. You can join us there for forums to ask all the questions that you might have about our technology, industry tech in general, related industry tech, whether you're dealing with BGP or app service delivery or security, anything API and all that. So we're happy to help and assist with questions there. We have article content around our technologies there. If you have something you've written code-wise to interact with our products, we have CodeShare. We'd love to see you contribute out there as well. So join us, community.f5.com for that. And coming up this summer, Aubrey and I are heading to Black Hat, USA. And so I look forward to seeing you there if you're going to be there. And Aubrey and I will be running around like crazy people with cameras and mics and doing that thing that we do at shows. But I'd also love to just sit down and have a meal or grab a drink and chat about the security stuff that you're working on in your environment. And save the date for AppWorld 2025. It's in Las Vegas this year. Next, obviously 2025. It's February 25th through the 27th. And so, yeah, f5.com/appworld to get your registration notifications in the system. So that's not to register today, but just to make sure, hey, I want to go. Give me information when it's available. This Thursday, last Thursday, I walked through some Big IP Next Central Manager API stuff with the Postman collections. This week, we're going to take a look at doing that same thing with Python. And I'm working on a little utility, a little module to do session management and maybe some additional utilities, just kind of manage the stuff that you don't want to remember how to do things. And so there will be some utility modules that I'll add to that eventually, but we're just kind of play around in the sandbox like we did last Thursday, but this time with Python instead of Postman. And that's this Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific. And so without further ado, let me bring on Brett so that we can talk about NGINX One. Brett, how are you today, sir?
Oh, I'm very well, Jason. How are you?
I am well. And, it just dawned on me, I hope I did your last name justice. Is this Wolmerans?
You did a great job on that. Thank you.
Okay. And I like your T-shirt. It's a good one. I've got my favorite NGINX T-shirt is the one with the astronaut on it. Because, we sent some like NGINX code to space on the James Webb Space Telescope. So that's my favorite. But I like that one too.
Yeah, we'll have to hook you up with a few new T-shirts next time I see you.
Hey, there you go. Which is when, by the way, will I see you before Connect or probably not, maybe?
I will try to make my presence known. I always love meeting you in person and meeting the DevCentral team. And you just mentioned Black Hat, and I might have to swing on by and continue my association with you, which actually goes back many years. If I may tell the audience a little bit about myself, I'm actually a longtime F5er going back to 2012. Perhaps not quite as long as Jason, but I am actually in my second tour of duty here at F5. I went away and wandered in the wilderness for a little while, and it is great to be back. But yeah, Jason, over the years, I've always enjoyed hanging out with the whole DevCentral team, and I'll make an effort to find you in person later this year.
Good deal. Yeah. We've been here a long time, and yeah, you're one of those many boomerangers we have here at F5 because people, it's like, hey, let me go test the waters. It's like, no, I like these. I like these waters over here. So But we're glad to have you back, and I was glad, of course, personally, to have you back when we talked on your way out the door, but also slightly before you came back in the door, and so I'm glad you're here. All right, so NGINX One, tell me a story, man.
NGINX One is a SaaS management and control solution for all of your NGINX instances. So that is it in a very short sentence, and I will elaborate with some details. And
I like details.
Yeah, and what my only ask is please just stop me at any point and ask questions as we go, so that I know I need to go into a little bit more depth on anything I'm speaking of. So do we have a deal?
We do. Well, I'll ask my first question then. For those who don't work, I mean, probably everybody that's tuning in knows what a SaaS offering is, but just in case somebody doesn't, what is SaaS? Where are we starting from with SaaS? What's the difference with SaaS between roll your own?
Well, SaaS is software as a service. Essentially, you're looking at software that you don't have to install, maintain, care and water, and eventually decommission yourself, because it is all done for you. And if you actually think about it, you could think of a broader definition as well, but that's the practical definition. And SaaS these days really lives in a cloud-based delivery model. So whenever we think about SaaS, we think about firing up a web browser, or perhaps an API client connecting to SaaS, which lives somewhere else. Let's just call it the cloud. And from there, you can do things. So the key difference is you're not installing software on bare metal or on a VM or on containers. It's as a service. You're just consuming it.
Yeah, we've worked for vendors for a long time. It's like the longer I work with vendors, the more I realize naming things is hard. Even industry things like software as a service, because ultimately platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, all of it is software, right? It's all software at different layers. So it's like, which one is specifically software? But you nailed it. That it's like as much as you can possibly abstract away from your control is kind of it's that top tier of the wedding cake, right? And platform and infrastructure, kind of the lower layers of that cake.
Yeah, and if I can actually talk a little bit about who software as a service is for, who SaaS is for, it amazes me how many types of personas and profiles out there of enterprises are very happy to use SaaS for many functions. Back in the day, when I was running networks, and many of us were who are watching, allocating your valuable functions to some service in the cloud was probably not something you would just go ahead and do. But I'm talking 10, 15, 20 years ago. Nowadays, I talk to customers from all sorts of industries, even including public sector and finance, and they're more than happy to use SaaS. So I view it as a trust in many things, not least of all is encryption in flight. So yeah, thanks to the efforts of everyone involved with encrypting data in flight over TLS and SSL, the internet is viewed as a bit of a more safer place to do things.
Yeah, it's an interesting dichotomy, because there you have the idea of a safer environment because people who are like, we have hardware that's purpose built, you have infrastructure that's purpose built, and you have software that's purpose built to do certain things, and you don't have to own the whole layer. And so it's good in that regard. But you build trust with the companies that offer those things, because there are some that do it well, and then there's some that do it less well. And it's learning to figure out the nuances of what you want to give control over and what you don't. And I've seen some interesting things with some people who've pulled some stuff back in-prem or on-prem from taking it to the cloud. Not everything, but they're even smarter about what their on-prem is now because of the relationships and the things they've learned by going to the cloud in the first place. And so they're even more robust in their on-prem area than they were before they went out to the cloud initially.
Well, that brings up the next point is SaaS, although it is very acceptable, as I say, to a wide range of industries, much wider than it would have been in years past. It is definitely not for 100% of folks. There are many folks out there that absolutely will not use SaaS, not for certain environments, not for certain functions.
Yeah, that's understanding your business risk and then your security risks, and for your particular business that's just policy that you're building and honoring as the decision makers are like, yeah, we're not going to go that route. That may be superior technology than we can do on-prem, but by this requirement, it will not happen. So,
yeah, at some point, it's worth the effort to just do things yourself. As you said at the beginning of this topic, to do it yourself, to roll it yourself. And if you, as you also mentioned at some point on this topic, if you do go with SaaS, it helps if you're going with a vendor that you trust and perhaps already do business with. So that always helps a lot. There's probably hundreds, if not thousands, of SaaS services out there, some of which are very small. So if you're watching and you use SaaS services, you more than likely know what I'm referring to. And so the nice thing about what I'm going to talk a bit more about today is that it is from F5. So this is SaaS from F5 and from NGINX, which is part of F5. So it definitely falls under the category of SaaS providers that you could feel comfortable trusting.
Yeah. Okay. Do you have slides you wanted to share?
I have some slides. Yes, let me talk about what I've got to share. I have some slides that I just want to share in the beginning to help when I do a demo, which I will do afterwards. And when I show the slides, it's just going to give a basic overview of NGINX One so that when I show the demo, everything makes sense. So let me go ahead and see if I can share these slides. Give me just a second to get that ready.
No trouble. While you're doing that and sharing the background, for those that are joining a little bit later, just want to remind you that App World's coming up February 25th, 27th for App World 2025 next year. So you can go get the reminder for when registration becomes available at f5.com/appworld. And Aubrey and I are going to be at Black Hat with a large cadre of F5 peers. And so come find us at the booth or find us running around like crazy people around the event. We'll be the two guys sweating with cameras, or at least I'll be sweating. I don't want to speak for Aubrey, but I'll be sweating. So, all right, how you doing?
Oh, it's always fun to work on the. Okay, yeah. Let's see. I've got some little permissions to deal with here. I have a way around it though, so that's super helpful.
Do you need to close out and come back in?
No, let's see if this works. Okay, great. Do I have sharing successfully working?
No, I don't see it at the bottom.
I do not. Okay, give me one more second. And please talk amongst yourselves while I figure that out.
We could talk about the cool stuff in your background.
Oh, sure. This is my sort of developer persona background I have. And sometimes I change it up kind of seasonally, but this is the setup right now. I have some of my old study books. I have a lot of my mechanical keyboards. I have a lot of my event lanyards and badges over the years, many of which are from F5.
Yeah, I'm
So,
bad, man. I bring those home and I throw them away. I should probably save them. Like my older brother, he like every event he's ever gone to, he's got like this big tub and he just boom throws his ticket stubs in a big tub, and I think he's done that since childhood, and so he's got literally every ticket to everything he's ever been to. Maybe, is that an oldest child thing? I don't know, but it's like I can't hold on to anything. It just whatever. But so what's the love affair with mechanical keyboards? I don't get it. Like I've never had one, so maybe I would also be a mechanical keyboard aficionado if I had one.
Well, yeah, it just is. It's absolutely something that is hard to explain unless you try it out. It came to me from the old original IBM, the big IBM keyboards with the long travel keys, and they referred to as the battleships. They're that heavy.
Okay.
And I just have fond memories of that in early days in my career, and the mechanical keyboard scene of today is one that makes me remind myself of how much fun it is to use a big, heavy, funky, chunky keyboard. So that's the main one with that. So yeah, let's give this one more shot here.
If you're just joining us, Brett's trying to get sharing on his end to work. It is not working yet, and so he is messing around with settings. If you have to leave and shut Chrome down to come back in, are you in Chrome, by the way, or are you in another browser?
Well, I am in Chromium. I'm in Edge, so probably the same workflow applies. Let me try that out now, and my cat and I will be right back.
Okay. For the rest of you, while you are waiting, I'm going to take you backstage while you're leaving. Oh, he left. Okay. While he's doing that, I got a video for Big IP Next, which we went GA for LTM and the web application firewall back in October. And one of the cool things in Next is being able to version your iRules in Central Manager, which is cool. And so I got a quick minute and a half video on versioning your iRules and the benefits there and how to do it. And so I'll play that, and then we'll be back. Hopefully, Brett will be good to go.
Hi, this is Denny Payne, Product Management Engineer for Big IP Next. And one of the coolest features to me in Big IP Next is the ability to version iRules. In classic Big IP, when viewing iRules, you can't actually see what applications they're attached to. And when you make a change to an iRule, it immediately takes effect on all those applications that you can't see. So it can be easy to cause an outage that way. We've reduced that chance with iRules deployment in Big IP Next. First, we show you the applications an iRule is attached to. And secondly, we have the ability to version them and attach different versions to different applications. We also will show you the changes between versions side by side. So you can see exactly what has changed. When you make a change, you can stage from a version, make the change, and then you can choose whether to commit those changes to all apps or just a selection of them, or even not commit it to any app at all right away. Maybe you just want to push the change to your QA app first to validate everything goes well. So you can pick and choose between the applications in the list and deploy just that application. So Big IP Next gives you several ways to reduce your blast radius over classic Big IP. Going forward, this same versioning concept is also being expanded to application templates, security policies, and other configuration objects as well. So this is why to me versioning is one of the coolest enhancements in Big IP Next.
All right, and I don't have Brett back yet, so there he is. Hey, just in time, Brett. You're back with me. Now, is your sharing back with me, or maybe for the first time? We'll see.
Yes, let's let's give it another whirl here. Yeah, no, it is. I am battling, my friend. Oh, let's see. Oh,
that was something there
got
for a
it. I
second.
think we have something working.
Yep. Try again. It shared for 1 second and then bounced away.
Oh, how interesting. Okay, one more try. I can certainly just.
Do you have a link that I could share from, and then you can talk through it, or no? Or do you just want to talk about it?
That is.
Oh wait, there you go.
I can talk all day about things, so
There
that
you go.
would work. But something seems to be working.
Yep, you're up now. Even if it's just we don't have to be in presentation mode. You can talk to it. You can talk to it this way.
Okay, how interesting. Okay, very good. I wonder if I go to a different window if it still shares. Does it still look like it's sharing?
It is sharing right now. Yeah, we're good.
Okay, great. So this is not your typical corporate PowerPoint deck. I wouldn't do that to your audience, Jason.
I should hope not, because like with the death by PowerPoint, we don't want that. And you're here to set the table, right? Anyway, so it's all good.
Well, thank you. So essentially, as you know, I do work with NGINX here at F5, and what's nice about NGINX is it is a multi-tool. It can be used for so many different scenarios and use cases. I just thought I'd start with this slide I use icons to show just all the different types of things NGINX is used for out there and sort of who uses NGINX. So you'll see sort of up in one corner, there's the platform team. So that is the team that comprises, among other things, the server team, the software that everyone uses. So platform teams are very big on NGINX. We see that a lot. And then, of course, devs themselves are very big on NGINX. And then when it comes to delivering those apps that are created, of course, NGINX is very big in terms of being used to deliver apps. And at some of our larger organizations we work with, they'll actually have a team called the app delivery team. So that app delivery team is responsible for delivering both web apps as well as APIs and apps of various sizes, shapes, and flavors. And so I just wanted to have the slide to go over all the different things NGINX can be used for. And I also have on the one side here the product portfolio. Now, product doesn't necessarily mean it's something we want to sell to you. NGINX is very big on open source, and so much of what you see here is available to the community as open source. We maintain it, we update it, and so it's a mix of commercial products that you can go out and buy or go out and subscribe to, and open source. So just wanted to have that there to give us a flavor that there are so many things NGINX can be used for.
Yeah, and on that, I love NGINX Unit. Like, it's so cool. You can take any number of languages. So like I like to develop in Python, but instead of having on separate containers your reverse proxy up front, or even maybe your web server that's directing to your static files, and then you're having your application server on a separate container, and then you have to maintain both containers and the configs for both containers. NGINX Unit does all that in one. It's an app server and a reverse proxy, and it manages all of that, and it's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, Unit is super neat, and we could talk at length about Unit.
Yeah,
and what's the interesting tie-in here is that our vision for NGINX One is for it to also work with Unit.
Yeah.
But with that little segue, let me show you a bit about NGINX One. And Jason, did I successfully advance to the next slide?
You did. Yep. NGINX One console.
Great.
F5 the cloud. Yep.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm making some progress here. As shown NGINX One console lives in F5 distributed cloud. And Jason, do we need to talk a bit about what F5 distributed cloud is, or can you give me a sense of how many of your audience already know what F5 distributed cloud is?
Yeah, so just to lay it out very high level, F5 Distributed Cloud is also our SaaS offering for being able to connect multi-cloud networks, and we have a DNS services and app stack where we have the ability to run Kubernetes in the cloud, or run Kubernetes in your own environment and connect either a regional workload in our data centers, our virtual data centers, all the way down to your own compute in your on-prem data center. So there's F5 Distributed Cloud is a suite of resources: security, delivery, connectivity, all the above. And it's all through single pane of glass console that you maneuver in. So I don't know if I covered enough of what you wanted to say about distributed cloud, but it's a fantastic resource. It's a fantastic suite of products and tools, and I, for one, love that NGINX One is there.
Thank you, Jason, for that overview of distributed cloud. That really helps. And when I go on DevCentral, I see no shortage of articles about distributed cloud, and there's just a lot of fun to be had looking at everything that does. So if we look at, actually, I wasn't quite done here. My apologies. So NGINX One runs in F5 Distributed Cloud. So you access it as SaaS, and then it is a management and control single pane of glass for all of your NGINX instances. And then coming online will be things like NGINX Ingress Controller, NGINX Gateway Fabric, NGINX Unit. So our path forward for management and control console is NGINX One. Yeah. So what you sort of see here, these NGINXs across the bottom of the slide, are NGINX today, either NGINX open source or NGINX Plus. NGINX One works with both. And the other solutions, what we sometimes refer to as data planes, will be coming online as we go forward. And then over on the side, you can see a little bit of a laundry list of all the things NGINX One can do. So I won't be reading that to you, as while Jason and I have been chatting, you've no doubt had time to take a look at that. But the idea is you're managing your NGINX from a single SaaS console. And we launched this at AppWorld in February 2024, so just a few months earlier this year. And it is right now in early access, which means anyone can sign up for it. So if you're watching this and you want to sign up, it's easy. I'll provide the link, or Jason will provide the link later, and you can sign up and try it out. And then we are moving fast towards full general availability. That'll happen more in the coming months. So right now it's in early access. Think of it as beta, but it is open for anyone to use. So a little plug for it there. When you log into NGINX One, and I will endeavor to show a demo in just a few minutes, screen share depending, of course, if I can get that working. But when you log into NGINX One, you will be greeted with a dashboard of all of your NGINXs that you have, whether they run in your own data centers, physical or cloud-based, whether they live in environments in different regions. It really doesn't matter where your NGINXs are, as long as they can connect over 443, over gRPC, to the NGINX One SaaS. The NGINX One SaaS can surface them for you, and you can start to understand what they are all doing and what sort of state they are in. State meaning, are they available? Are they having problems? Are they looking good? Are they on the right version, or do you have versions that you perhaps thought you upgraded, or that you asked one of your teams to upgrade and they didn't? So there's just a wealth here. And I will pause here because, yeah, there's a lot to take in.
Yeah. So, Brett, I don't understand because everybody always has all their stuff upgraded when it's supposed to be upgraded, and there's nothing ever that slips under the table.
Yes, it is. It is nice how our world works like that. If only it did. The you're also seeing here. Let me see if we can do a actual presentation. Have that still continue to share. We're seeing operating system types and versions as well, which you might have in your SIM or your SOC or another way to tell your operating systems. But if you're an NGINX platform team, it's just really nice to have that here as a second place to see this. You're also seeing your SSL certificates, which ones are valid, which ones are coming up on expiration, and which ones have expired. And Jason, that's another thing, like you were saying, we always keep everything up to date. We also always, at least we try, I suppose, we always try to make sure our SSL certs are never expiring. But of course, all of us also have been to websites, some of them pretty significant websites, and they're down because the cert is expired. And when I talk to customers and they don't have hundreds of certs, they have thousands of certs, thousands and thousands of certs for internal and external facing apps and APIs. Yeah, keeping track of them is quite a job. In my example here, I'm showing there's just 8 certs, but still, there's a bit of work for somebody to go out and understand why we have some certs that have expired that are actually in use. So
even 8 certs can be challenging because, like, I still have sites every now and then, pretty major sites that fail because somebody forgot to manage the certificate. So.
Absolutely, in my own playgrounds I have out there, which probably a fewer than 8. It's a constant battle. So always good to see that. There's kind of moving in the middle of what I'm showing here. There are things like configuration recommendations, which is where you can, as a developer that's actually down in the configuration of NGINX, you're able to go in and see what your NGINX directives are, and if you're following best practices or if we have some recommendations for you. So we'll actually see down to that level of detail. And you also see in the middle of the screen here the surfacing of CVEs. So those common vulnerabilities and exposures, you're able to see what CVEs might be there in your NGINX fleet. So not showing CVEs across all of your software, but just on NGINX. What we're doing, like we show everything else here, it is NGINX specific. So versus having to go to perhaps a much larger tool you might have in your organization that shows CVEs across everything. And for those of us that have lived in that world, that also is thousands upon thousands. And
right.
becomes, there's a little bit of cognitive overload that happens with that. This just shows your NGINXs. So if you're an NGINX team, you look at this, you don't have to think about anything else besides NGINX. The same can be said for things like CPU utilization, memory, disk space. You're just looking at what pertains to your NGINX world. So very useful. Jason, what I want to do is let you talk for a bit, and I'm going to stop sharing because I am really eager to show this as a live demo.
Yeah, please. Let's see the demo, and while you're setting up for that, I can so you can reshare on whatever screen you're going to demo on. But the one that I'm interested, like that NGINX One dashboard, is that customizable today, or will it be customizable? So if I want to move some things around to highlight certain sections.
I would like to think it will be customizable coming up. It is not quite customizable today. Again, just because we're in early access.
Yeah, sure.
Think of it as a beta.
Okay.
So that would be good to see.
We'll consider that as an early RFE. So
thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, to your point on getting to the demo side, the things that are pretty interesting are the, CVE, active CVEs, and then configuration management stuff, because, you think about especially at larger organizations, that just because you have like an F5 advanced WAF or a NGINX Plus instance, it doesn't mean any one group controls all of that. And so the standards in which they may share, or to the point, may not share. Once you get to a centralized management console, and you can build standards to see, what might be something that we can all come together and make sure that sales and marketing and product development and whatever business units you might have, that they're all kind of managing config the same way, and making sure that options that may have become obsoleted on NGINX instances that haven't been updated in a while, maybe they've been updated by version, but they haven't been updated by the way things should be configured. It's nice to have that insight. Okay, I'm sharing you. Do you have you swipe over to your other? There you go.
Hey, so Jason, just for my own edification here, did I actually manage to share my screen?
You did. You're good.
That is great to know. Thank you, my friend. So with that, you should now be seeing F5 Distributed Cloud. So when you log onto our cloud, much like you might log on to other clouds that you might know and love, you're going to see lots of different services that you have. And although I would love to spend time on each of these, what I'm going to do is go right to here to NGINX One. And I'm going to visit the service.
I'm going to move us out of the way now that you're in there. There we go.
Nice. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Very good. So as promised, we're seeing an overview of what we like to think of sometimes as our NGINX fleet. So all of our NGINXs across all of our various environments: production, test, dev, cloud, physical data center, brick and mortar, rented cages, wherever we have NGINXs out there. We connect them all to NGINX One, and we get a holistic single pane of glass view. And as you know, us product managers can never get enough of saying single pane of glass. So you can ratchet up the counter one more time for that. And if we look at some basic things here, we see 13 versions of NGINX, which, again, is probably not something you really want to see. You might have told your various teams across your organization that, hey, if you're going to run NGINX, that's great, but I really would like you to stay on latest plus maybe the last 3 most recent versions. So to see there's 13 versions out there can be pretty shocking, actually. And the reason it is shocking is not just for general organizational reasons, but because just like any software, over time, CVEs are discovered, vulnerabilities are discovered, and those creep in. And so if I scroll down, perhaps the reason we have almost 3.8 thousand total instances of CVEs, not unique CVEs, but just instances, is because we have 13 different versions of NGINX. So right away, there's a little bit of value for me here as a platform team. I can go, wow, I can start tracking down why this is the way it is, which teams have not followed our recommendations to upgrade, and I can get some control over things, and the CVE numbers should go way, way down. Now, in addition to CVEs, we also have these config recommendations. We have almost 3,500 total recommendations. Some of them are security-based, some are optimization, some are best practices. And then we see we have a very large number of expired certs. That's okay, because this is my demo environment. I know about expired certs. We have 1 expiring. That's exciting. And then we have 17 valid certs. And then we have also a hodgepodge of operating systems, which again, in theory, you should be able to go to your SIM or some other system to see your operating systems. And yet it is nice to see it all right here. And just going down, we also see just operating system level resource monitoring for CPU and memory, disk space. We can also see the beginning of some application level monitoring. Right now, you're just seeing response codes that are probably of most interest to you. 200 type responses. You're probably getting, hopefully getting mostly those. So if you see 5s and 4s, that's something you want to be aware of. So resurface that. There'll be a lot more coming to that as we go. And then actually, you can see on a per NGINX basis, the network traffic in and out. So this is, again, just what we have in early access. Once we go general availability, and as we add more, we have a vision to add a lot more application performance monitoring in here. So this is just the very beginning that we have in early access.
And at this point, if I'm actively have NGINX in my environment or am looking to that today, that's where the plug to, hey, get with your account teams to see what is not in there that I need, and so you can get that into the stream, so that as those that roadmap gets fleshed out over the coming months and years, you're in on the ground floor on what you would like to see that's not there today. Quick clarification on the CVEs. Can you clarify that one more time? The 3.8K is not how many individually unique CVEs there are. It's that those are how many CVEs are currently impacted across all instances.
Right. It is. If I can take your question and use it to segue to my next tab, I will talk more about CVEs.
Oh, perfect.
So with that, let me click on security.
Folks, that was just an awesome coincidence. I didn't plan that.
Yeah, we truly are doing this live, and it is actually working great, Jason. Thank you. You're making me feel very comfortable here presenting for your audience today. So what's neat here is that we see all of the CVEs for NGINX on one big list, okay? And we see some are high, some are medium, and we see how many instances are impacted by that.
Okay.
And so you get a sense right away of, and it's sorted by default by impacted instances. So it gives you a sense for where you're going to focus your time and work, because as many of us know with CVEs, it's not so much being made aware and surfacing of them. Of course, you do have to catch those, but you also have to divide and conquer. You have to know where to start. And so if we take a look at perhaps, let's go down and look at a, wow, we've got one from 2012 in here floating around. That's announced, but there's 0 impacted instances. So that's really great. Let's look at, here we have one from 2021 that's on 11 NGINXs. So if we click on this, what's great is we get a list of the exact instances that have that. Now, a bunch of them are offline. They appeared at some point in our system, so we were aware of that. This one is online, and it's running 1.18, which is a super old version. So that makes sense. And we actually have a convenient click out here to the actual details of the CVE.
Oh, nice.
Can understand. Yeah, it like I've said 4 or 5 times now, there are multiple ways to go and do this, but when you're busy and you've got a lot on your plate and you're just trying to get through your day and staying on top of things, this is super nice to have it. And so that's a theme with NGINX One. We're trying to just make things easier for folks out there that might be doing some of this with rolled their own scripts or perhaps much heavier tools. And this is just a nice way for NGINX teams to see things. So
if you cancel out of that CVE, I had a question.
Yeah.
Not the whole screen, but just the one.
Yeah.
So if you click on the high for the NGINX quick vulnerability,
yeah,
looks like they're both they're probably related. But if you click into one of those, the report is a generic report against the version, right? It's not tied in yet to the configuration engine?
Oh, what an intelligent question. Right. Yes. So right now it is not looking to see if I actually have HTTP3 enabled. It's just matching the version with the CVE report.
Okay.
And Jason, let me guess what you're driving at is if we go and we look, and we'll look at this particular instance, we might see that it actually doesn't have HTTP3 enabled. And
Right.
so even though there's a CVE, but it's nice to know there's a CVE because we never know. It might not have HTTP3 enabled today, but tomorrow a developer might.
Oh,
So,
for sure. Yeah, I'm not saying it's like ignore it completely, but I'm thinking as, if I have both parts of that in NGINX One, I've got this is an instance that has the vulnerability in its code, but then here's the configuration I have against that box. So if there's like some kind of a marrying table that would allow me to quickly, yes, it's impacted. Yes, I need to deal with that, but I'm not personally impacted yet. So as I'm stack ranking the priorities of the things that I have to take care of, I'm very quickly arriving at something that helps me to prioritize the workloads of what I need to mitigate and when.
Thank you. Those are wise words, really wise words. Now, as you see, this particular NGINX has a host name called appsfo01. What I'd like to do is take a closer look at some of my online instances in a different view over here under the Instances tab. So if I go over here, I'm actually going to...
Can you get to it either way? Like if you would have clicked it there, would it have taken you to this screen?
It most likely would have.
Okay.
I'm going to focus in on my online instances. So online means this NGINX is both up and running and it is actively reporting into NGINX One SaaS console. Okay. So it's currently online. Again, that's over gRPC over 443. Okay. So as long as the environment where I'm running NGINX has outbound 443 access, which you can ACL to our console, you should be able to get on. And we sort of see a different X-ray view, this time viewed by instance. And here's that app SFO I mentioned earlier. And it's got some of these CVEs. That's probably that HTTP3 CVE.
Quick issue. Yeah.
Thank you. We saw earlier. So it's got some, and we've got an understanding for that. It's got one recommendation. It's got 19 best practices recommendations, no optimizations or security, and it's got a expiring cert. And we can look at that. Actually, now that I'm here, I'd like to look in more detail at this other box, which is app NYC01. And the reason I want to look at this is this one has a nice variety of recommendations. It's got security, optimization, and best practice, and it has a variety of certs that are in various states of expiration. So we can see this is running a reasonable version of NGINX. It happens to be running NGINX Plus. As a reminder for those joining us, NGINX One also works with NGINX open source. So let's take a look at this app NYC box, kind of get a detailed view on just this. And this is useful to me if I'm an admin, a platform team member. This also could be something that as a app delivery team, I'm looked at. And NGINX One RBACs these different personas into different areas. Right now, I am in NGINX One as a super admin, so I can do everything, see everything. As we go forward, we will have customers that will wish to have developers be able to get in to see the details of their NGINX configuration, but perhaps not see other things. So that, again, something that we have in the works and are including in where we want to go and where we want to be at some point as we go forward this year. So this is the app NYC box, and it's got a list of, it doesn't have any CVEs, which is nice. It's got config recommendations. It has those certs. Here are the details on the names of those certs. And we can see which ones are valid, expiring. Again, if we've just got 3 certs, it may not be a game changer, but across a real environment, it won't just be 3 certs. It'll be a great deal. So what I'd like to do is put on my hat of a developer or perhaps an app delivery team member that actually is getting into this configuration, because I really want to show our audience these recommendations. So if I go over to configuration, I could also get to it the other way. I get to see my detailed NGINX config. So this is kind of neat. It is all of those NGINX directives. And if you notice, up until this point, I didn't have to get to this detail. If I'm just a platform team member and I never want to see these particular details, I can delegate this to a team member that is at this level of granularity. Right. But what's neat is I do get to see the config in all its detail. And I'm scrolling around here, but a fun tip is I like to call this the microtext. I can jump around by clicking on this microtext to easily get to different parts of the config. And if you like color coding, we have color coding that I'll get to in just a second. We also just have a list of what we call recommendations down here. And as I'll try to stop here, this is a good point. We see a mix of best practices, optimization, and security. To look at a best practice, if we go to this one, it shows on line 45, we're missing a server name. And so that is a best practice to have that. What's more fun is if we go just a few lines down, I can click here or I can see it. It's underlined here in orange. But again, you don't have to be color aware to see this. You can simply jump to the line. You can see that we actually call out there is a list of bad protocols here. And perhaps now I'm a developer. And as a developer, I'm not necessarily an SSL expert. I've heard TLS is the new version of SSL, so I initially thought this was fine. What I didn't realize is that TLS 1.1 is not actually a secure practice. So if I want to fix this currently today, we would need rights to edit it. I have rights. Let me edit this config. So let me go in and do that. So I'm going to go down. I'm lucky enough to be color aware. I'm going to go down here, find my security recommendation, and I'm going to remove the insecure protocol. And now that security recommendation is gone. What's happening here is this is all happening in the SaaS console. This has not yet been pushed to my NGINX. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. So here are my original configs and my change config side by side. So
and a diff, which is nice.
Yeah, it's a nice kind of diff
diff
there.
Before push, which is nice.
Yeah, diff before push. You can also see that inline if you prefer that. Personally, I'm a side by side person.
Totally side by side. If you're in line, you're wrong. I'm sorry. It's okay to be wrong, but you're wrong.
It is. So I'm going to go ahead and save and publish this out. What's happening now is the SaaS console over gRPC 443 is pushing that out to my NGINX, and it has gone ahead and fixed that. So let me contrast what I just did to what things would be like if I did not have NGINX One. If I did not have NGINX One, I would need to know which server this NGINX was on. When I say which server, I would need to know where that thing lives. I probably need to know its IP address. I probably need rights to SSH to that server. And as a developer, well, if this is maybe running on my MacBook, perhaps I have rights to my own MacBook, hopefully. But if this is in a real environment, I may not be able to just SSH to every server out there. So contrasted to how easily I was able to make this fix, without NGINX One, I might have had to open a ticket with some team to allow me to be able to get to that server and make the change, or perhaps I open a ticket that asks someone else to go and make the change. Either way, there was a dependency on a very granular awareness and a granular set of privilege I would need if I didn't have NGINX One. I would have to do a lot of things to make that change happen that I did very easily here. So that's a small example of showing and surfacing recommendations and also publishing out fixes. You also saw I did that manually. Going forward, part of the vision for NGINX One is to be able to provide a layer on top of fixing things manually, where we bring in capabilities that will show you how to fix those in a more guided, keyword being guided, automatic remediation as needed.
Yeah,
So,
I would love to see that as a CI/CD tool chain, right? Where, the config, if somebody deploys a config or as it's onboarding, right? You have all these new instances that I've brought into NGINX One, and oh, hey, you've got these 618 recommendations for best practices, and then the diff that we just saw becomes a git pull, or it's a pull request in your repo, and so whoever's responsible for reviewing that takes a review, says good to go, and then your tool chain handles the rest of that.
yes, sir. And again, the segues are really rolling here, Jason. So I'm not going to run through this pipeline, but I have.
And just a time check, we got about a minute, and then we need to wrap up.
Exactly. So let me end on this. So everything I've showed our audience today in the GUI for NGINX One, we also have an API. So I'll close out by just sharing this quick GitHub Actions where I'm making those pushes. So NGINX One is something you can drive via API.
Awesome. Yeah, and that's so important, right? Because the end game here is to enable the API to let your tool chains do the work for you. And especially around best practice, you do have to be careful. And that's why I think the human element's still good, because things like TLS 1.1, yes, we have determined, hey, that's not a good protocol. But there's some things, some environments to where maybe you have a system you cannot upgrade because it's been end of life for 8 years. There are no services. It's TLS 1.1. That's all you get. But it's a critical resource in your environment that you can't move away from for reasons. And so,
for reasons, yeah.
being able to support TLS 1.1 is a requirement because reasons. And so, being able to have something in your tool chain that says, oh, by the way, don't pull this off of these instances because that is supported, even though you say it's a good recommendation to go away from. So that in a tool chain, you're not needing to worry about that, because your security sign-offs on what's good and what's bad and business sign-offs for the same reasons will hopefully take care of those things. Anyways, I think let me pull you back in real quick, because I think you were going. Yeah. So
I have one last thing, my friend, if I may.
Absolutely.
I would like to extend a call to action for folks watching to just look for NGINX One sign up. I'm sharing the link here. Jason, I believe you'll probably share the link for folks. So
I've got it on the banner as well, right below, but I could drop it in comments.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're looking to get organizations of all shapes and sizes, as long as you use NGINX, can be open source. Please sign up for early access for NGINX One, kick the tires, and most of all, give us feedback. And Jason, that's everything I had. Thank you.
You are quite welcome, sir. And thanks for joining me. I know we had some technical difficulties there for a little bit, but let me do early access and drop the link in chat. And so that should go out. That's out to YouTube anyway. And as always, it's great talking to you, sir. And I hope we get a chance to run into each other. If it's not at Black Hat, certainly at Connect in November, right? We'll get a chance to see each other there.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right, man. Take care. Have a good week.
Thanks, Jason. Bye for now.
Bye. All right. Well, yeah, we had some challenges, but we got through it. And I'm excited about NGINX One. I'm excited about anything that's going onto the distributed cloud console. And so, Central Manager, hopefully I'm not speaking for product management. I don't run their roadmap, but if Central Management can somehow someday make it to, or Central Manager can make it to distributed cloud, that'll be awesome. Be able to run your new Big IP Next from SaaS as well. And so I'm excited about that possibility. If it's a possibility, talk to your account managers. Maybe they know better than I do. But NGINX One is going to be a great thing to get in front of all of your NGINX infrastructure. And so just reminders again for what's coming up in the next week. I have, let me find my banner here. Yes. Big IP Next Central Manager with Python on Thursday, the 27th at 10 a.m. local, 8 a.m. Pacific. And I'll be in Chicago tomorrow at the user group for F5 Academy Roadshow. So if you're tuning in from Chicago and you're going to be at the Roadshow tomorrow, I'll see you there. And then Thursday, I'll see you right here at DevCentral on YouTube and LinkedIn. And make sure you save the date for App World 2025, February 27th through 25th through the 27th. So with that, thank you so much for joining today. And we will see you out there in the community. Take care, everyone. Have a great week.
Well, thanks for checking out that video. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. While you're down there, hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. You might want to check out one of these videos over here. And if you haven't already, go check out community.f5.com. This is where all the DevCentral Connects hosts hang out, as well as the rest of the community. It's free to sign up, and we'll see you there.